Okay. Beta. I'm gonna show y'all boys where I'm from, man.
What it do, still with the cam shine like a lamp. Big boss hog, can't poke through the door, hit the touch this box, fuck, get in my soliloquy. Remember, tough times don't last, good people do, don't love yourself. Cut them in the fight line, remember you matter. Peak game metaphors on what swing. Alright, look. So, Devin Haney versus Jose Ramirez, let's talk about it. That's the fight that's next for Devin Haney. He has to fight that fight before he gets in a ring with Ryan Garcia later in the year. A lot of people, including myself, feel like why Devin Haney just can't go into the Ryan Garcia rematch, right? I don't understand why these two are fighting fights before they fight each other. Excuse me. But I won't even say this is a dangerous fight. You know what I'm saying? I think Devin Haney can outpoint Jose Ramirez. I think Jose Ramirez is older. I think he has a lot of knowledge. I think he's very has high boxing IQ as far as Jose Ramirez, but I just don't think he can beat Devin Haney. I'm just gonna be real with you. I think Devin Haney will win by unanimous decision. I think Devin Haney will show people that he's back if his mental is right. Now, if his mental ain't right, he ain't beating nothing. I'm just being real with you. So, right now, his mental looking a little shaky with me, but I'm going off his mind is right. I think Devin Haney gonna win this fight pretty easily against Jose Ramirez and go into the Ryan Garcia fight locked and loaded, ready to go. So, but the thing that is concerning is his mental right, because he's still getting triggered by certain things. He's still getting triggered by, Ryan Garcia and the whole PED thing. Like, I get it. Ryan Garcia cheated. I understand that, but you got to readjust your focus to be like, all right, cool. He cheated, but, I'm not worried about that anymore. That's the past. We're on to the future. And the future is Jose Ramirez, and then once I'm done Jose Ramirez, I'm fighting Ryan Garcia. You know what I mean? And me personally, I feel like you got to put that in the past as far as the whole PED thing. I'm not sitting here saying, we should forget about Ryan as fans, but I'm talking as the fighter. You got to put that behind you and be like, hey, that don't matter. If you feel like Ryan Garcia only beat you because he was on our ring, then you got to put that behind you and be like, all right, cool. That's the only reason why you beat me. So you can't beat me without being on that. So I'm not worrying about that. Right? We're gonna make sure we have stringent drug testing for the next fight, and when it's green lighted and it's time for us to fight, you got nothing for me. You can't beat me. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't even bring up the stuff no more. You know what I mean? If they tried to ask me, oh, hey, Mr. Haney, how do you feel about, Ryan Garcia now? I'm like, I don't feel like anything. My opponent is Jose Ramirez. We'll worry about Ryan Garcia when Ryan Garcia, is my opponent. He's not my opponent. Jose Ramirez is my opponent, so that's my primary focus. You know what I mean? When the time is right, when it's time for me to fight Ryan, Lord say the same, then I'll worry about Ryan Garcia. And that's what your response will be. Then when it comes to Ryan Garcia, if you beat Jose Ramirez, hey, are you concerned about him testing positive for PEDs? Like I said, I'm not worried about that. Ryan Garcia, we got stringent drug testing. If he do test positive for anything, the fight gonna be off. And that's what it is. And that'll let you know what type of fighter Ryan Garcia is. And you just leave it like that, But as of right now, he shouldn't be worrying about PDs and all the other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, when it pertains to Ryan, because he's not fighting Ryan Garcia. Right? So he's still kind of triggered. Hopefully his mental is right. But I'm assuming his mind is right. So if his mind is right, then he should easily beat Jose Ramirez. You know what I'm saying? Easily. I'm not even going to lie to you. I'm picking Devin Haney to beat him by unanimous decision. I don't see no knockouts. But I just want Devin Haney to get his mental right, man. And he might need to get a new coach. I've been saying that, man. I don't think Bill Haney should be his coach. I applaud Bill Haney for getting him this far. But at the end of the day, when you get to a certain level, you got to make moves. Floyd did it. You know what I'm saying? Like, his dad was his coach to a certain point. Then he went to Roger. Okay, eventually he went back to his dad, I guess, when Roger Mayweather started having health issues. But Roger was his coach, right? And he had a list of other coaches in his corner. He had the big guy. He had a list of other guys in the Mayweather gym that was in his corner. But the main guy was Roger Mayweather for a lot of Floyd Mayweather's career. So, you look at like Manny Pacquiao. He had other coaches. Then he had Freddie Roach. And then, he went to that other guy from, I was about to say Pakistan. The Philippines. You know what I'm saying? So, sometimes you got to change coaches. Sometimes changing the coach is a good thing. Now, me, I'm against it. But at the same time, when it's your dad, it's like a conflict of interest. You know what I'm saying? So, in my opinion, I feel like Bill don't know how to separate being a coach from a dad. He's always in dad mode. So anybody say anything about Devin, it's like, oh, you talking about my son. You talking about my son. It's like you have to be able to separate the two. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I think. I'm not saying I'm right, but, and Bill Haney to me is an excellent father. But at the same time, I feel like he's a horrible coach and a horrible manager. And I feel like up until this point, yeah, he did a good job getting Devin Haney certain deals, but they showed no loyalty to anybody. You know what I'm saying? So now people not showing loyalty to them. It's a problem. But y'all kind of was doing what y'all wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? And it only became a problem until it became a problem, right? We're just going to be real. When you winning, everything is good, but when you start losing, it's like, hey, hold on, this nigga, hey, you was doing this. We've been seeing you doing this. That's when people say stuff. So it's not a problem until it's a problem. You know what I'm saying? We just keep it 1,000. So I think that they just got to get their head back in the game. But Devin Haney got to take control of his career, or he gonna have the same thing happen to him. If he fight Ryan Garcia, if he look vulnerable in this fight with Jose Ramirez, I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't even recommend him fighting Ryan Garcia. I'm just gonna be real. If he looks any type of vulnerable, he get hurt, anything, knocked down, I say he don't fight Ryan Garcia. I know he signed a contract, or if he still do fight Ryan, he might need to look at to get another coach. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being real. So we shall see. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Bye, it's gone.